Enigma on the other line here, and we're here
Go,
to
go, go, go,
talk
go.
about Microsoft's E3 press conference was just wrapped up. We got a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff to cover. We'll have some videos here up in the top left corner as we kind of go through and talk about the various games and things that we're showing, and we'll try and pull some video up of that. But yeah, man, we got a lot to talk about. So I mean, let's just start with like your general impressions of the conference. What did you think? Do you think they came through with it? Do you think it was a disappointment? You think it was just kind of average? Where are you kind of at just general impressions of their conference?
Man, it was real good. I mean, I think that they were kind of given the upper hand by default. We kind of talked about it last night in the stream, with PlayStation being out of it. I mean, coming out of the game with, or coming out of the gates rather, with 60 games, 34 on Game Pass. Um, I mean, all the console and everything. I think it was awesome. I don't know what more you could really ask, including those big old cornerstone franchises that we all love.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought they did a really good job showing off everything. I was a little surprised that there wasn't a little bit more gameplay footage of kind of their heavy hitters, especially Gears of War 5 and Halo
Mhm.
Infinite. We kind of just got cinematic trailers, and especially uh, with Gears 5, it wasn't even like about the main game. It was more about like a game mode, that escape game mode, and so that was a little bit surprising to me. Um, but other than that, I thought it was really solid. So
Yeah, and I think that was more of a time thing. It was already almost 2 hours long, and so you kind of have to pick and choose and then expand on it, later in the week, as I'm guessing the approach. And um, yeah, I mean, definitely some to be desired, but I think the conference hasn't even officially started yet, so I think we'll find out a lot more as it goes along.
yeah, true. I'm really interested to see if there's more gameplay footage of Gears or some of the other things.
I'd
As
hope
we
so if it's coming out like a tech test next month.
Right, yeah, like it's coming out like pretty quickly, so yeah, I mean we'll have to see if there's any more information about that. But so yeah, I mean what do you want to start with? Do you want to kind of go through chronological order? I mean I'm kind of looking at my notes here. There's a lot of stuff to cover, so where do you kind of want to start?
Man, that's a good question. I too have some notes. Um,
Maybe
I
we should
mean,
just take it from the top, right? Like the first things that were shown, and then kind of go from there.
yeah, let's do it, man.
Okay, well, so just kind of looking at the notes here that I took as we were going along. So they started off with kind of some softball hits, I thought. Some games that people love but aren't necessarily like their heavy hitters. So like Ori made an appearance early on. But one of the other ones that I thought was really interesting looking that I wanted to actually talk about was the Minecraft dungeon game that they
Mhm.
showed. So what were your thoughts on that one?
I think it looks super cool. I mean, it's Minecraft is a space where I think something like that has, kind of designed for it. Um, I mean, it's the world everyone loves, the style everyone loves, that 8-bit like blocky style. Looks to be really fluid. I mean, there's what's not to love about like a dungeon crawling looter. We obviously, evidence last night, play a lot of those.
Right, with
Um,
Diablo.
yeah, I just think it looks great, man, especially 4-player co-op. It just looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, I got some of the footage rolling from the gameplay that they showed there, and I thought too something that stood out, and you can see it in the video here, is it is Minecraft, but it's a different style. I mean, it's definitely more that like that top-down Diablo type viewpoint. The graphics are a little bit sharper, I would say.
Yeah.
A little bit more like high resolution, which is something you see in some of the Minecraft uh, mods that are out there, and there's more shading effects, things of that nature. But I mean, it has all the kind of Minecraft styles to it that you'd want, and then definitely the co-op aspect of playing with all your friends, which is huge in Minecraft, obviously for a lot of people. So it was something that I was pretty impressed by, and I thought looked super interesting. And you can see here it's coming out in spring 2020. It's coming to Windows and Xbox alike. So I don't know. I thought that was a really cool thing, and it's also coming out on Game Pass. So um, And we'll see because it also mentions that it's coming out on Nintendo Switch, PS4. Obviously, Minecraft being a multi-platform game, and they did talk about this a little bit in the conference where they want to try and work on creating more crossplay between uh, obviously Windows PC games and Xbox games. So we'll see if there's any kind of crossplay with that into Nintendo Switch and PS4, kind of similar to what they're trying to do with Call of Duty. They didn't specifically talk about that, but that's something that I'm really interested to see about that moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just looks like a ton of fun. It looks like it's like Minecraft. You can play it with, the whole family, which I play that with like my nieces and nephews. So I'm
Right?
all
Yeah,
about that.
definitely.
And yeah, if it goes crossplay, that'd be awesome. I mean, it's the perfect title for that. Everyone across the world, loves Minecraft. So I think that'd be a great way to kind of break down barriers like Rocket League did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that or?
No, I'll be interested to see more, but that's kind of all we got on that one.
Yeah. Well, one of the other games that they showed pretty soon after that was the Blair Witch game. They kind of had like a series of games in a row that they talked about and showed. This one seemed to be kind of like a, I don't know what you would call it, like a story-driven action horror survival type game. You can see on the footage here, it's very cinematic based in a lot of ways. You kind of go throughout the story with what appears to be your dog and a flashlight and a camera, and you're going through kind of this creepy forest area, trying to figure out some murder mystery or something like that. I mean, the game
Right.
looks great. I mean, it's a new IP, which is always good to see. But did you have any kind of thoughts on that, or any impressions on what that game looked like?
Well, I tell you what, man, if there was any like entertainment franchise I was thinking might be like revitalized today, it was not Blair Witch.
Right, yeah, that was a
Um,
surprise. I was because we were even talking like as we were watching the stream, we're like what the freak are we watching? And then at the end, like we saw like the Blair Witch logo, which you'll see here at the end of this video. But we both almost kind of groaned because it was like that. That's just like a really odd franchise to like try and
yeah.
get back into and reboot, right? So
Seriously, like it's in the 90s again. But it looked freaking scary. It looked like a game I'm not gonna play because I'm a boob.
yeah,
And I don't know, man. I know that there's a big market for games like that. There's been a ton of successful ones out there, but I don't know. It's a weird IP, but it looks like good in its own right and for that genre.
yeah, definitely. Well, I think the next game up after that was Cyberpunk 2077. Showed a nice long extended cinematic trailer there. What were kind of your thoughts on that?
Keanu Reeves makes everything better. Um, first off, it looked freaking beautiful, and I think everyone expected that from Project Red.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
I mean, that's kind of their MO. It looks like a super interesting world. It's nice to actually see more of it. We got like a teaser of a teaser last year, but it just looks great. It looked intense, looked gory, obviously mature. I mean, there was many a
There's a lot
bleep.
of yeah, lots of bleeping outs in this one. That was pretty funny.
It just looks great. I mean, it was a game that last year I was kind of skeptical on because it just like I don't know, it didn't really scratch that itch for me. But seeing the trailer and just kind of seeing more about what they're going on, got like outlaw heisting stuff going on. It just looks really cool. I'll be interested to see more, and actually, I wonder if there'll be any type of testing or anything for it.
Yeah, definitely. And like again, this was another one of those games that I was a little surprised that there wasn't any kind of gameplay shown. Just another cinematic trailer. And this is a game that was really hyped up or has been really hyped up. People were really looking forward to seeing more of it. And so, certainly a cinematic trailer is great. But it would have been nice to see some gameplay because I think we all kind of knew from the last cinematic trailer that we saw from this that it was going to be a pretty looking game and it was going to be really interesting. And this one introduced you a little bit more to some of the characters, things of that nature. But yeah, I mean, it would have been nice to see just like a little bit more, uh, just gameplay or even just like a cinematic kind of montage of gameplay from it. not even like a live action gameplay demo or anything like that. But it's definitely another one of those games you can definitely see could be launched with the new Scarlett console, which we'll talk about here a little bit later as we kind of go through things chronologically. But I mean, if that's not running with the same hardware and tech that Scarlett's going to be using, then like I don't know how like your Xbox One or even an Xbox One X can handle it, because the just the animations and the level of detail and the lighting effects and all those different things is just super high level, and they were touting it as being kind of run or using the in-game engine as part of the trailer. So yeah, I mean, it'll just be interesting to see more of that as we move forward, and maybe it'll make another appearance here at the conference. Maybe it won't, but certainly a game to keep an eye on for sure. So
Definitely.
yeah, and then you mentioned Keanu Reeves. He had a cameo appearance at the end of the trailer, but then also came out on stage and gave like a little spiel, and it led into the discussion about the release date and all that fun stuff. But and you mentioned it in kind of your opening salvo and talking about the game. I think he got the best reaction of any celebrity at E3 ever. People were like
Yeah.
super pumped to see him, which is good to see, because we mentioned this in our kind of discussion of the EA Play analysis yesterday, in which they had Juju Smith-Schuster, an NFL wide receiver, come out from the Steelers to help talk about Madden 20, and it was just like super awkward because like no one really cared, and all that stuff. So this one was well done, I thought, and he definitely had some fun on stage, which was kind of fun to see. But yeah, are you cool with him being in the game? Is that kind of like a gimmicky thing, or anything like that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I don't see anything that can't be made better by John Wick, so, I'm all for it.
Yeah,
He's delectably, like, awkward, all the time, but he's a total friggin' BA, dude.
yeah,
I think it's cool.
and he seems like a very natural fit to be in that game, just like with the style and everything like that as well. So, but yeah, any other thoughts on Cyberpunk, or anything else related to that?
Not really, I hope we see more of it, because that for something that's coming out in less than a year, there's gotta be more ready to go, I'd imagine.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, another beautiful, exciting looking game to look forward to. So yeah, just moving along here. So they then went through like just a big string of new IPs and a bunch of other games. Kind of had a montage. You know how Microsoft likes to do that. They just string together a bunch, and they kind of touted that at the beginning, saying that they're going to show 60 new games. So in a couple-hour press conference where you're doing that, you're really going to have to move through it. But they
Mhm.
showed some games like Spiritfarer, Battletoads, so on and so forth. Did any specific ones in that montage kind of jump out to you as looking really interesting, or anything there?
I mean, to me, Battletoads, I think, scratches the nostalgia itch for a lot of people, but it was never my thing, so it's whatever. Lord of the Rings living card game looked interesting. Um,
Yeah, and that was one I like didn't even catch, and you mentioned it. I was like, oh, word, that like sounds super interesting. So, because I'm like a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, so any kind of LOTR stuff, I'm all for it. But
yeah, that looked cool. I don't know if it was part of that little montage, but they did show like a 15-second trailer of one of your goats in Age of Empires 2.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, I think that was a little bit later on, but yeah, they had Age of Empires 2, the definitive edition, which includes 4K as part of the remake, and then a new DLC or expansion or whatever you want to call it, which is always good to see, because that is an older game. Even if they are remastering it, it's kind of cool to add some new content to it. But yeah, I
mhm.
mean that kind of goes along with that same stuff. It's not like a huge hitter. I mean, a lot of people really do like the Age of Empires series, myself included. But yeah, I mean that's like another one you can throw into kind of that package there.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know. There was so much there that I sure like my brain just couldn't catch all of them. But I mean, it's a lot of games, and I think they kind of did that last year too, where they just have, it shows they're investing in both like big and small publishers, which They're kind of doubling down on their indie stuff too, which I think is great.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and they did talk about some of the developers and some of the other game studios that they're acquiring and getting to come join Microsoft Game Studios a little bit later in the conference. But before we get to that, one thing I did want to mention that they talked about after they kind of showed all those games was they talked more about the Game Pass, which you and I are huge fans of. Obviously, we've been proponents of it for ever since it came out, I think.
Since day one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like we should be sponsored by Xbox Game Pass for all the times that we've given it a shout out, and we get on there and play a lot of those games, and even do that as part of our streaming. But they had Sarah Bond come on stage and discuss kind of the expansion of that. They announced 4 new games coming to that: Batman, Arkham Asylum, I think it was, Metro
I think it
Last
was
Light.
Arkham Knight.
Yeah, whatever the Arkham, whatever it is, it's
One of them.
Batman. Yeah, but Metro, Last Light, Hollow Knight, and then Borderlands. Um, I can't remember what's the specific Borderlands that was coming to it. I forgot to write that down in my note.
It was the Handsome Collection. It was
Okay.
Metro Exodus, the new one,
Okay, yeah,
not
sorry. So
Last Light.
I was trying to tweet. I was trying to take screenshots. I was like trying to do all this stuff, trying to take notes. So
There's a lot going on.
there's a lot
It's
going on
okay.
really quickly. So, but yeah, I mean, those are pretty. That's a pretty good, solid addition, and those are coming to Game Pass today, so you can go access those right now, presumably. Um, but then they also talked about Ultimate Game Pass, which was announced, which comes at a little bit steeper of a price. It was $15 a month, it sounded like, but it
Mhm.
includes Xbox Game Pass for console. You get an Xbox Live Gold subscription, and then you also get Xbox Game Pass for PC, which was kind of a big thing that people have been looking for and excited about. That's included within that. So, what were kind of your general thoughts on kind of that discussion that they had about the Xbox Game Pass, the expansion of it with new games, maybe even some of the games that were shown that are being included in that, and then also just this ultimate edition of the Game Pass?
Yeah, so it's something that at least most of it has been leaked for like 2 or 3 months now. The addition of Xbox Live Gold to it. The PC was obviously new, but I mean, as far as the service itself, I think it's awesome. I mean, if you're already using Xbox Live, it literally pays for itself. The cheapest they sell it for is $60 for a year. Um, Having a whole curated list for PC as well, which sounds like it have some different games, is pretty freaking cool. I love that they're giving something for everybody, especially like in our group. We're big console fans. David is a PC snob now. Um,
Yeah.
and I did just double check on the app, and those games are available right now
Okay,
as
cool.
well.
Yeah, so they got those out
Um,
quick.
yeah, and I think it's cool. Metro Exodus is something I wanted to play, but I'm not huge into the franchise, so it's kind of where I'd wait it out until it got cheap or something, or one of like the summer sales. So being able to finally play that is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I'm with you. That was one that I thought was super interesting looking and always really intriguing. But it was just like you said, like there's so many games to play, and it's just kind of tough. Having not been very familiar with the franchise and having just a bunch of other games that I was playing, it was something that I had my eye on to get, like in a summer sale or something like that. But now having it be a part of Xbox Game Pass, I mean, that works out perfectly for me. So yeah, I thought that was really really cool. So, but yeah, any other comments on the Xbox Game Pass stuff?
Not really. I just think it's awesome, and I mean, I definitely want to mention again that all these first party games, which there are a lot, especially with new studios being acquired and everything, are coming to Game Pass as well, which is freaking awesome. I don't know how you can not have it and have an Xbox at this point, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's well worth it. So, but yeah, the other game that they showed, kind of along with Age of Empires, just kind of that part of the segment of the conference. They also showed off just this gorgeous looking game, which is Microsoft Flight Simulator. I'm not like a big flight simulator guy. This doesn't really do a whole lot for me. I guess it'd be kind of fun to play if it was like on Game Pass or whatever. But I mean, just like any kind of simulator game, just the high fidelity of the graphics and the environments and all that was definitely showcased in this. I mean, some of the scenery that you can see and just the level of detail of like the aircraft, is just phenomenal. And so I thought that was, if nothing else, is a really good showing for Xbox and Microsoft, just to show like, hey, like our system can run something like this on this kind of a scale. And it wasn't clear whether they were running that like on old hardware or maybe on the new hardware or Scarlett, but I mean, if that's the kind of stuff Scarlett can produce, I mean, we're watching some of the video here on the stream. I mean, it really does look like hyper realistic. So that was
Oh yeah.
something that I was really impressed with, just from like a technical standpoint. Not so much from like a gameplay standpoint or anything like that. Something that would really excite me, but I'm sure there's some people out there that would really be into something like this. I know flight simulators are pretty popular, so yeah. Did you have any additional thoughts on that or any other thoughts?
Not really. I mean, same thing. Looked beautiful. I know there's a big market out there for it, and it's type of franchise that people love for a long time, but not really my thing. But I know there's a lot of people who will be excited about it, though.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the next things that they showed was actually a new, previously unannounced Star Wars game, which was the Lego Star Wars Skywalker. What was it, Skywalker trilogy or collection? I
Uh,
can't remember the exact name.
Skywalker Saga, so it
Saga.
has
Okay,
all 9 games.
gotcha, gotcha. But
Maybe.
yeah, I mean, I know you're a big Star Wars guy and a big Lego game guy. So
Heck yeah.
what? Yeah. So what was kind of your reaction to that and your thoughts on the trailer that they showed?
I mean, it's awesome, man. I mean, the Lego Star Wars games are classic to me, and I've actually been wanting to replay them, but I'm also big on like achievements and that, so I've actually stayed away from it. But I'll be all over that. It sucks we have to wait because of for the movie to come out because it does include that too.
Yeah,
But
it did talk about how it included all 9 films and all that junk. So yeah,
yeah, it just looks great. I mean, those games are just super fun, and anyone who hasn't played them needs to rectify that. They're just good-hearted, fun games. Like me and my wife play them. Um, I'm super excited about it. It just looks fantastic. Looks like everything we love.
yeah, it's very whimsical. I thought they did a really good job showing that, and it was kind of like a surprise. Like I know like when it popped up as like a world premiere, and then all of a sudden it started out with Star Wars. You and I were like, oh, like what? Like what is this? Like what is this? So that was pretty fun to get that because it's just kind of like a fun, unexpected thing. So but yeah, any other notes on that? Any other comments?
No, can't wait to play it.
Okay, well, I think the next thing that they showed was actually some Gears of War 5 stuff. So again, no real gameplay. It was a lot more, cinematic stuff, and it started off with a really interesting kind of teaser trailer, where it has, and I'm not even totally sure which character this is, but the female character kind of center of the screen, and she's kind of having all these different characters or shadows of characters kind of surrounding her. And as every Gears of War trailer has, had some really great music to it as well, which then led into some other stuff. But I mean, are you disappointed that they didn't show any kind of gameplay or anything like that, or were you kind of okay with what they showed? I mean, I know you're kind of the resident Gears of War fan. I mean, I'm a big fan too, and was really looking forward to it. But what were kind of your initial thoughts of what was shown?
Well, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I think it kind of goes without saying that when you only have a set amount of time and you're going through like a new console and 60 games, like you really have to pick and choose. I think that what they did at least illustrated enough what the game's going on with. I think it just showed it earlier in the trailer, but it has the tagline "Bound by Blood" and character is Kate Diaz, I believe, who appears to be Mira's daughter.
Yeah, something with Mira,
Um,
because I mean, we just saw it on the stream here in the video. It flashed that Mira over the top of her, kind of like overlaid. So yeah.
yeah, and you and I just had a conversation the other day. Like we couldn't remember like if she even died in Gears of War 3. Um, but it looks cool. I mean, I think they got enough there to where you kind of know where the general direction of the story is, and then started going off on the different features they'll be adding. It looks like they're putting a pretty significant emphasis on new modes, like the escape mode, which is looks pretty fun. It looks fun. It looks like something that's very much in the like horde mode vein. Um, I liked what I saw, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it to come with it, launching in September and having tech tests in a month. There's got to be a lot more to come this week.
Yeah, definitely. And but like again, I thought it was just kind of an interesting move on their part because like especially for like the Escape trailer because it was touted as like this new gameplay mode. And they talked about some other gameplay modes, but this specifically is touted as like a new gameplay mode. But it's kind of like we haven't even really seen like the gameplay of the main game itself, so it just seemed a little bit odd to show like a cinematic trailer for a game mode when you haven't seen the actual gameplay of the full game yet. You know what I mean? Um, so, like in
Hmm.
that sense, like again, I was a little bit disappointed, but I mean, the cinematic trailer was super awesome. It kind of reminded me of like the Call of Duty Zombie cinematic trailers that they've shown in the past for those games. Uh, not that this is not that this is like the same kind of game mode, but it does seem to kind of have that kind of vibe to it. I mean, it's a three-player co-op. Looks like you're essentially going into some kind of locust base or something, and you're trying to kind of go on like a mission to destroy the locust. You're going to face a bunch of different types, enemy types, and there's a bunch of different weapons shown off and kind of different characters that we haven't previously seen or known in the Gears of War universe. But yeah, so like I thought it was really cool. I just wish we could have seen like maybe some actual gameplay of it, just because it is such a like a specific like gameplay mode type thing that they're talking about with it. So, um, but yeah, I mean, any kind of additional thoughts on that? Oh, maybe we lost John.
Oh,
Oh,
I'm
there he
back.
is.
Sorry, what was the question?
Oh no, I was just asking. Did you have any other thoughts on the Gears of War 5 Escape trailer? Or are you okay with it not having gameplay, so on and so forth?
If I had to choose one thing, I maybe would have gone with, story gameplay or what have you. But I think what it did show is that it looks really pretty, which I think we all expected. Gears of War has kind of had a penchant for that since day one. It was essentially a Unreal Engine um, trailer, basically an
Yeah.
advertisement for it initially. No, I think it looks super fun. It has that, as you said, that kind of zombies vibe with at least the co-op aspect of it, and then kind of some like search and destroy esque game type or gameplay rather. Um, yeah, I mean, I hope they show more. If they don't show more, I'll kind of amend that and say I was disappointed, but I'm sure we'll get some more information later on.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and the one other, well, I guess there's a couple other Gears of War things that we can touch on while we're here, but they also announced that there was a Gears of War 5 pre-order bonus, and that was Terminator themed, which is kind of interesting, I thought.
Yeah.
But they just showed like kind of a little quick cinematic of that, just kind of a Terminator character essentially holding a chainsaw lancer and saying, that's like part of a pre-order bonus thing. But then they showed this was a little bit later on, but since we're on the subject, they showed the Gears of War mobile game, which is kind of like a turn-based strategy almost type of a game, from what I gather. But it was a very whimsical trailer, very funny, and but the game itself I think is a really interesting idea and looked really interesting and looked like quite a bit of fun. So what were kind of your general impressions on that?
I dig it. I know that, I've talked about it many times. I'm a pretty big fan of mobile gaming. You know, helps pass the slow days at work.
Yeah.
Um, it just looked like a lot of fun. It looked, as you said, good heart. It's a pop game, so it has that style of like the little pop figures and everything, which is very um, I don't even know the right word for it. It's very unique,
Hmm.
and I think everyone's familiar with it, and everyone owns some of those figures, whether we admit it or not. I just think it looks a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of kind of PvP, like Clash Royale almost,
Yeah.
um, which you and I played quite a bit. I think just looks fun. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Did they put any dates or anything on that?
I think they did. Um, Well, actually, it looks like no definitive date. It looks like they just said pre-order soon. So it looks like you can kind of just sign up for it and then you get access to it when it comes out. So no definitive date, but sometime soon. Whatever that means. So
Yeah, I dig it. What'd you think about it?
yeah, no, I mean I'm not like a huge mobile gamer guy, but I have played some of those with you. They're good kind of pass the time at work things or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of Gears, and I think that's a really interesting way to kind of approach it because Gears is such like a mature game, and it's like very violent. But this like was very
Yeah.
whimsical and funny. I mean, there was one point when there was like a locust guy up on a giant chain gun, and then he pulls out like this box of kittens that the opposing side had sent him, but they like had grenades, like locust grenades on them. So and like later on, you see like someone's head get chopped off with a chainsaw lancer, but it just kind of like pops off almost like a Lego. So I don't know. It's kind of a unique approach, and especially for that game. But yeah, I think it's good for them to kind of diversify their portfolio with the game and that franchise. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be quite a bit of fun. But yeah, so we'll just moving along here. So one of the next things that they showed, they had Forza Horizon 4 jump on there, and they had a big expansion to talk about and to show off, which was Lego Speed Champions, which is it was just a really unique. Just I don't know. It was just really unique kind of expansion. Bringing Lego into a game like Forza with its high graphics and everything, and it looked like quite a bit of fun. I know you're a big Forza fan, so what were your thoughts on that trailer and kind of the content that they showed there?
Yeah, I mean, so the Horizon expansions has always been a lot of fun. So I'm like already down for it just based off its pedigree. It just looked very, as you said, kind of whimsical and like they did one. I think it was Forza Horizon 3. They did a Hot Wheels one as well, which was awesome. Um, it looks great. I mean, it's all the Horizon fun, the like arcadey, semi-serious racing that you have, all these new Lego cars. I think that Lego is a world that's become so massive with, I mean, we already talked about games earlier, multiple just crap tons of movies, full feature movies now too. I just think it looks super fun. It's adding more dimension to an already incredibly fun game.
Yeah, definitely, and that will be coming out June 13th, so not very far away. So yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something to get you back into Forza, and it really does add a lot to it and kind of change things up in a big way. So it's not just kind of a whatever. Here's a couple new cars expansion. It's like a major thing, and that's
Oh yeah.
definitely something that could pull you back in. So yeah, any other thoughts on that?
No, I'll be excited to play it. Looks great.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a couple other things here. So, this may or may not be big news to some people, but the next thing that they show is Fantasy Star Online 2 is coming to Xbox. It's apparently a huge action RPG over in Japan. I know we had someone on our stream chat talking to us about it, and he was pretty excited to hear that. He thought when I mentioned it, because he had ran to the store, he thought that we were just joking, and so when I said no, we're not joking, he was pretty stoked. It's a game that I've heard of. I don't know a ton about it. I just know that it's immensely popular overseas, and so it really didn't do like a ton for me. But I mean, did you have any thoughts or reactions to that, or?
Kind of the same thing. I know it's a very big franchise, especially overseas. I've never gotten into Fantasy Star before. I'm not a big JRPG player in general. I've played some Final Fantasies. Like, I'm even playing Final Fantasy 9 right now. But yeah, it's just not really my cup of tea so much. But I mean, it looked really good. It looked like it was a good amount of fun too. And I know it's something that a lot of people are going to be really excited about.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, a couple other things right after that. So they showed a new IP called Crossfire X, which they didn't really talk a whole lot about exactly what it was going to be. They just talked about how Smilegate, the production company, was going to be leading the project up or heading the project up. And again, just show kind of a cinematic trailer, so very low on the gameplay, and even Fantasy Star Online 2 is a cinematic trailer only itself. So again, kind of sticking with that theme, but yeah, Crossfire X, it looked really interesting. I mean, it's got really cool stuff going on. There's jets taking off, aircraft carriers. There's guys with guns walking around. They're in this big building. A missile hits the building, and the whole building starts coming down. So like, I literally have no idea like what this game is about. I don't know if it's an RTS. I don't know if it's a shooter. I don't know, whatever. I don't even know if it's first person, third person. Whatever. But it at least looked interesting, and it's another new IP, which I know you and I are we're big fans of trying to find new IPs, just because we like variety, and we think we think that the gaming industry is relying a little bit too heavily on kind of repeating those same tried and true, tested, battle tested, big IPs like Halo, Gears of War. Not that we don't like them, but we just we'd like to see some more IPs come out that are unique and new. And so that is one of those
Definitely.
things, and it's something that does look really interesting. So, did you have any thoughts or reactions to that at all? I know it's kind of
Kind of the
hard to,
same
just because you don't really
thing.
know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I'm not sure what the game is. I'm all it's something that just shows blowing things up about 50 different ways is something I can definitely get on board with pretty quickly. Um, Looks fun, as you said. New IPs are great, and I love that Microsoft is, been investing in that. Even if some of these are just world premieres, they're definitely, part of the picture. Um, this looks fun. It'd be interesting to see what else they release about it. Because as you said, I think it could go lots of ways. Like uh, RTS, uh, you know, even go like first person shooter. There's a lot of ways you could potentially do it when you have all those different like mediums and types of like I don't even know the right way to put it. Not playable characters, but like playable units.
Yeah.
Um, so it looks cool. Looks dope.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by that, and really interested to learn more about it. So I'm looking forward to more information, and hopefully again some gameplay here in the near future. So um but yeah, so the next thing that was shown after that is a really popular gaming franchise that has been announced and kind of shown and discussed previously, but that was Borderlands 3. This trailer again, it had a little bit of gameplay to it, but not a whole lot, which is fine. I think we all kind of know what Borderlands gameplay is,
Mhm.
but it definitely showed off the new world, and it showed off a lot of the new characters that you're going to be playable as. Um, and I mean, it looks like Borderlands. Kind of a funny, very unique style, and kind of classic gameplay where you're running around shooting a bunch of enemies and trying to find loot and find new weapons, and so not like anything groundbreaking there, but good to see kind of some of those new characters. Did you have any thoughts on that? I mean, to me, that one was a kind of a pretty straightforward trailer and kind of showing from them.
Yeah, I mean, the trailer was more or less what we've already seen, frankly. It's just different shots, but same kind of style. Didn't really reveal too much. Just showed the characters, which I in their abilities, which is fine, but it's whatever to me. I think it's cool that they just put out. It's already available. Borderlands 2 DLC. Lilith Fight for Sanctuary. That's designed to tie into it. So I'm all for like free options there, especially, a way to get people back in and playing Borderlands 2, I think is really smart. And then we already talked about the Handsome collection being added, so it looks like they're, doing a lot to try and draw people back into the franchise. If anyone was kind of, on the fence or looking to dip their toe into it, as you said, I mean, it looks like Borderlands. You got lots of guns and lots of shooting,
Yeah.
lots of loot.
Pretty much
So
what you expected. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, which is good in this case. People love it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything much more to add on to onto that. Just, it's kind of what you expected to see. So, um the next thing was something a lot of people were really looking forward to. It's a project that George R. R. Martin, of course, the author of the Game of Thrones books, which I guess aren't really technically Game of Thrones books. It's
A Song of
whatever.
Ice and
Yeah,
Fire,
Song
dang
of
it.
Ice and Fire, but everyone knows them as the Game of Thrones books because they're the books that were adapted for Game of Thrones. Anyways, he is working on a project. It was revealed today. It This one was leaked before the conference, pretty much like last night, so it wasn't like a huge surprise. But it was still good to kind of see what they had to show. Again, cinematic trailer, no real gameplay. But yeah, the game's called Elden Ring. Looked really interesting. Kind of got some almost like Warcraft 3 vibes from it a little bit. I don't know. Almost a little bit stylistically reminded me of Dark Souls in some ways. Maybe it's just the way the
Hmm.
character looks that's in the trailer, but again, like another game that looked really interesting, another new IP. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, I know you're a big fan of Game of Thrones and of the book series, and so what are just kind of your thoughts on this?
Well, I mean, as you said, George R. R. Martin and Miyazaki are big names, to this people like us, basically,
Yeah,
gamers, I guess, gamers, nerds, geeks, whatever. I think it looks weird, interesting. Kind of like you, I'm not sure what I was looking at. The first thing I got vibes of, and I didn't get Warcraft, but I guess I can kind of see where you're coming from. But I got Dark Souls vibes, which gave me like some
PTSD.
flashbacks that I didn't care for. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like kind of like I don't know that I want that.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I don't blame you. That's a game that'll give you some PTSD. So
Yeah. I don't yeah, I mean it definitely asked a lot of questions, so hopefully we get some more answers on it. The skeleton guy with half an arm, I don't even know what's
yeah,
going
that
on there.
was yeah. I don't know. There's a
Uh,
lot in that trailer. I'm like, I have no idea what's happening, but
a mishmash of things that just did not seem to make sense.
yeah, I mean, it's not like Death Stranding level, like you're like, what the freak, but it's like also not far off of that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it looks kind of like a fantasy action. I don't know if it's an RPG or what, but it definitely looks super interesting. The style of it's very, very interesting. And it's a very interesting team that they have working on it. So it's another one of those that it'll just be really exciting to kind of wait and see um, what they have in store moving forward. So, but yeah, any other thoughts on that one?
Not really. I hope it's not as horrible as Dark Souls so I can actually play it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm with you. If it's like Dark Souls, then I'm gonna struggle with it. So,
I don't hate myself that much.
yeah. Yeah, so just moving right along then. So the next kind of big thing that we're getting to the end of the conference here, but the next real big thing that they talked about is they had a big, long, lengthy discussion about Project xCloud, which is Microsoft's gaming streaming service. There wasn't like a ton really discussed in that isn't already publicly known or available. So I didn't really pull anything new away from that, but that led into the discussion about the new Xbox console, which is now confirmed as being called Project Scarlett. And they had a bunch of the developers on in kind of a montage where they're discussing the different aspects, both technical and just kind of the uh, I don't know what you would call it, kind of the guiding direction or the guiding thoughts that have helped shaped their design process and construction process of the console. Phil Spencer made it really clear that something they want to do is ensure that the console is a game first console. So it's not going to be some kind of like multimedia thing, although it can do that. But they really wanted to build it with a lot of hardware, high power hardware that will allow gamers and game developers to really reach new heights with their gaming experiences. So some of the things that they talked about are like GDDR6 was confirmed. They talked about ray tracing technology. They talked about solid state drives for the hard drive being a part of it. They talked about the need to really improve loading speeds so you don't get stuck in like elevators and games knowing that you're loading. They want it to be a seamless experience where you can continue to play, and you need more firepower in the hardware in order to do that. Um, but yeah, so they just kind of went through and talked about a lot of these things. And then at the end, they confirmed that it'll be released in holiday 2020. So it will not be coming out here at the end of this year, which may be a surprise to some people. I know there's a lot of theories that was going to be the case, that maybe it would come out as soon as at the end of this year. And they actually didn't even show like the actual console itself. It was just much more of a discussion on what it is and kind of what to expect from it. So what were your thoughts on that? Were you disappointed in not being able to actually see the actual hardware itself, or or maybe get like a little bit more of a tech demo on that, or anything like that. What were just kind of your general thoughts on what was discussed and what they showed and what they didn't show?
I think I'm fine with what they showed because I mean, something that is coming out in a year and a half, like form factor wise, that would probably change. I mean, they're obviously not going to be in production now, um, but I think it looks. I mean, if they deliver on all that, that's pretty insane. I think as Phil Spencer stressed multiple times, emphasizing that it's gaming first is really smart because that's what screwed the Xbox One at the beginning of the
Yeah,
console generation.
yeah,
That's
definitely.
why PlayStation won this console generation
Yeah.
and why Phil Spencer has a job. That's why the other guy got canned.
Yep,
So that was smart.
that's a good point. It's a fair point.
It looks, I mean, those are some crazy stats. I mean, they said frame rates up to 120,
Yeah,
um, 4 times more powerful than One X, which is already a 4K console, which is nuts.
yeah.
Um,
6K, 8K, here we come.
Yeah, I mean, we've had discussions about 8K and its viability on the show before, and there's a longer discussion there. So it'll be interesting if that, with its kind of unavailability to the common folk like us, um, if we're paying for that for something we can't use for a foreseeable time. Um, it just looks sweet, man. Uh, I don't know how anyone's gonna come out and top that. I mean, the custom processors made with AMD. You already mentioned all the other tech, the DDR6 and everything. I can't wait to see more, man, and then hopefully, I don't have to take out a loan to buy it.
Yeah, that was one thing they didn't discuss any like price points or anything, which it's not like super surprising because we're gonna have another E3 conference before it's actually released. So there's still plenty of time to talk about that. And if they don't even have it to the point where they're showing like, hey, this is what the console looks like, then it's like, well, why would we even discuss price points?
Oh,
So
yeah.
yeah, but that is a good point that they did not discuss how much it would cost, and this is something we've talked about on our podcast before in talking about this next console or this next generation of consoles, especially after PlayStation announced kind of all their you know at least theoretical hardware includements in their next PlayStation is a lot of that stuff is super expensive right now.
Oh, yeah.
Um, so I mean, that's a big question on, just how much is it going to cost, and is it really worth the investment? Because, like you said, like when we're getting to like 6K, 8K, I mean, that's not really all that feasible right now, especially because like 8K TVs or even like monitors are just like crazy, crazy expensive. So then it's like, why do I want to pay for that
TV started like
hardware?
5 grand.
Right, exactly. So it's like, well, why do I want to pay for the hardware to run, 8K games or whatever when I can't even afford to pay for like a screen in which it'll actually make it worth it, right? So it'll be really interesting to see how they approach that, and just to see what the final price point is. And then, of course, there's been this theory that there's going to be a bunch of different types of the consoles, like a streaming console option, like more like an Xbox One X type of an option, and that was something that was not discussed here either. It was just Project Scarlet, almost as if it was just one console. So it'll be interesting to see in the future as we move forward and we hear more, probably again next year at E3, what exactly the entire full offering of that console is. Is there going to be multiple consoles, different price points, so on and so forth? But yeah, I mean, were you disappointed that they didn't show like any more kind of games running on the engine? I know we kind of theorized that maybe like Cyberpunk was, and then of course Halo Infinite, the trailer that we'll see here in just a second, obviously was. They kind of led the entire discussion towards ending the conference with that trailer and kind of touting that as the launch title for the new console and all that stuff. But were you disappointed that there wasn't a little bit more shown there, or was that something that you were okay with?
I'm totally okay with it. I mean, with a console that's not coming out for 18 months, I think that expecting it, I think that it'd be an unrealistic expectation to see that. I mean, I'm sure some dev kits have been around for a while. Obviously, as you said, Halo Infinite's been in the works for a while and is obviously designed. They mentioned it's going to be launched with it like the original Halo was, which is, a discussion to come. But I think that for where we're at in the timeline right now, that's perfectly acceptable. And like that's basically what we got with the Scorpio too, except for It just showed like a form factor in a little video, and that was like 6 months before.
Yeah,
So
that's a good point.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't really either, and you know, again, like my guess would be a lot of the other games that were shown earlier were probably running, if not on the Scarlet hardware, something really similar to it, like a PC kind of build that has comparable stuff to it. So yeah, I think it gives you a pretty good idea of kind of what to expect, and like you said, like we're so far away from it, really, in realistic terms, you know, compared to like what we had with like the Xbox One or anything like that. So to expect to see more, I think was maybe a little bit more of an unrealistic expectation, unless your expectation was that it was coming out at the end of the year. But now that we know it's not, then tough beans. So uh, but yeah, so like again, like we mentioned, so that entire discussion with Project Scarlet, even some of the video stuff that they showed as they were discussing the hardware and things of that nature, they showed some people working on Halo Infinite. They had like a lore book of Halo sitting out on one of the desks of one of the developers. So it all kind of led into this cinematic trailer to end the conference, which was Halo Infinite, which I was super stoked for because I'm the Halo
Hmm.
guy. I was just like waiting for this the whole time. Again, not a gameplay trailer, which was a little bit disappointing, but it makes a little bit more sense, especially in light of what they said with Project Scarlet, where it's not the console's not coming out till 2020, and if Halo Infinite's going to be uh, a console launch exclusive game, then I mean that it still has quite a bit of time left in its development as well. But the trailer, I mean, looks gorgeous, and I thought it was really well done. It didn't really, give a ton of details on the story or anything like that, but it did show what the in-game power of the hardware of Scarlet can do. And I mean, like the trailer starts out a little bit more cinematically, kind of like a cutscene, but the same like graphics fidelity and animations actually carry over into what seems to be somewhat of a gameplay show here, where Master Chief gets brought in and kind of woken up again, which is classic Master Chief, always sleeping on the job, always has to get woken up at the start of every Halo game. Uh,
Seriously.
but if that was really gameplay, like after he wakes up and is kind of more of a first person view, I mean, it looked the exact same as like the beginning cutscenes of it. So if that's like the level of detail and animation and graphic fidelity that's going to be in the gameplay itself, I mean, that was like super super impressive. So that's just some of my thoughts on it. I was really happy to see it again, being a Halo fan. But what were kind of your thoughts there with the trailer and just kind of how it was used to showcase uh, just kind of the firepower that's going into this Project Scarlet console?
I definitely agree with everything you said, and I mean, it looks super, super pretty. Even if it's just cinematics, that's really impressive. And using that hardware, the gameplay itself can't be far off. I can't think of a better way to sell a new console, especially a new Xbox console.
Yeah,
I think that that's gonna work out really well for them. Um, I'm very curious as to like how it works or how it falls rather kind of in the timeline if it is like a reboot so to speak because they did show another Halo
yeah,
which
which was
is
interesting.
yeah, definitely kind of going backwards there. So there's a lot of questions to be answered, but I mean from where we're at, kind of like the console itself being so far away, I think that that was a good showing. It looked great. Have no idea who that pilot is and what he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm all in, man. Give me.
Yeah, it looked great, again, and like you're saying, like I think there's a lot of questions as to like when the game is taking place, because Master Chief, like in part of the trailer we just saw in the video here, he has like the data chip that had Cortana on it originally, and then Master Chief's like, hey, like we need to get going, and the guy's like, no, like you don't understand, like you need to come take a look at this. Essentially says like, hey, we like lost, the war or whatever, and but then as they're talking, like their ship gets scanned, almost kind of like what it was in like Halo 4 with the Didact, almost kind of that kind of a vibe. But they are
Mhm.
looking at a Halo, and it is a Halo, but it's at least partially destroyed. So, and it's not clear of whether or not that's like a Halo being rebuilt, or if it's just another Halo that was partially destroyed, or whatever. So, but then there's just kind of the sequence where Master Chief grabs his gun, the pilot's freaking out. He's like, "Hey, no, like we need a fight because Master Chief, my boys, always always wanting to fight, not running away. But like that was pretty much it. Like they really didn't show like a lot more than that. So it wasn't even clear like who the enemy in the game is. There was a moment where Chief's kind of walking into almost like a control room type setting, and Cortana is talking to him, or at least Cortana's voice is having a discussion with him. And so yeah, like I mean, obviously Cortana's gonna be involved in some form or fashion, but yeah, just like a ton of questions still about the game itself as far as like gameplay is concerned. But then like, okay, what's the setting of the game? Because it's been touted as like a reboot. So like, is this going back? Are we like forgetting what happened in Halo 4, Halo 5? Is that still kind of part of it? Like, where exactly are we? What exactly is going on? What's the direction? So hopefully we get some more information about that pretty soon. But again, it's a long ways away because it's going to be a launch title with Project Scarlett when that comes out. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm just like super like geeked out. I'm just glad that we got something else to watch, even if we didn't get any gameplay. So, but yeah, any other thoughts on that with Halo or with Project Scarlett or anything like that?
Halo, no, can't wait to play it. As far as Project Scarlet and the hardware, just a couple quick notes that we kind of grazed past. The xCloud coming out October. It is free and allows you to turn your console into a server, which is a really powerful thing and an expensive thing to make free, which shows their, um, you know, doubling down on their investment into it, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, they did announce the Series 2 Elite controller, which has kind of been a long
Oh
time
yeah,
coming.
that's something we forgot to touch on. We were
Um,
like, oh crap, now we got like another thing to buy.
yeah, I'm like, I already have one I paid 150 bucks for. Like, I need to buy another one now,
Yeah,
which I want
well,
to because it's freaking sweet.
yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up because you do own the current Elite controller, and I mean, it's amazing. Like I don't own one, but I've used yours before, like when I've come over to game with you, and it's like definitely like the holy grail of gaming controllers. Like it's freaking amazing. So like, how does this make you feel, like as an Elite controller owner? Like, are you kind of like ticked that they're coming out with another one, or is it like something that you were excited to see? Like, what were kind of your feelings in reaction, other than like, oh crap, like it's more money to spend on awesome stuff?
Yeah, I mean, knee jerk is my wallet hurts.
Yeah,
But I think it looks super cool. The Elite is incredible, but there's always room for like enhancement and improvement. Um, I've never had issues with it, but there's quite a few people that have had issues with the like the bumpers breaking on those. I've not had a single issue. I love the additional levels of customization, like the ability to like torque the tension on the thumbsticks is pretty freaking cool.
yeah, definitely.
Um, Another slot for a custom profile on the controller is awesome.
Well, and it looked like
Um,
you had like three, like you could even have them like pre-programmed, and then you could switch. It had like the three lights down in the middle, kind of bottom of the controller, which was like
yeah,
a really cool idea because then you could seamlessly just flip through like the three different profiles that you already had set up, which I thought was a really cool kind of a thing.
yeah, they do have that manual toggle, like a manual switch for 2 already, but I mean
And
3 is
now
great,
you
so
get
you can do
three.
more.
It's big time.
Yeah, improved grips, improved, hair trigger and, options for the levels of it.
Yeah, the grips. I thought
Looks
too, like the
sweet.
grips looked super sweet. Like that looked, because that's like one of the thing on the Elite that I love, like the textured grips on it, and
Mhm.
like those look like even better. So I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, it's smart to do it all the way around. That's the one thing that it has, like, that kind of, like, plastissuade stuff on the top, which I don't like as much as the rubberized grips, but it's still great. So I think that was a really good improvement too.
Yeah, for sure. We have our buddy David here in the chat. He's trying to say some stuff about Halo. He's saying Battle Royale for Halo, which, by the way, David, they've already confirmed they're not doing, so you can suck it. But we are glad to see Master
Ooh.
Chief back. I'm sorry, David. I love you. You're a good guy. Uh, but it's not
Protect
bad
those
design.
claws.
It's good design. Battle Royale is just like the empty carbs of the gaming world. We don't need it in Halo. Halo's like actually a good game. So, but yeah. Anyway, so shout out to David in the chat. But yeah, just like back to what you're talking about. No, like I think they made some good design improvements on the Elite controller. Um, you know, that not necessarily were like needed, but like are good and are taking a step in the positive direction. And kind of more stuff like that's really cool. So that was definitely an unexpected announcement, but that was something like I was thinking. I was like, yo, like birthday, some other holiday. I gotta like that's a great excuse for like getting myself a present. Like it looked super sweet. So
Seriously. It looks great. I can't wait to spend a bunch of money on it. And the one other kind of note I have with the console itself, Scarlett, which will eventually be announced as the Xbox Turtle.
yeah,
Uh,
and you
they
heard it here
did,
first. You heard it here first on
yeah,
on the alpha build.
and we demand credit.
Yes. Please,
Uh,
please cite us. Please send us, the royalties. Yes, all that. We demand it.
I want to be in the credits. I want to be on the box.
You want to be the king turtle is what you want to be, right? Like a special
Heck
edition
yeah.
with your like face like laser etched into, you could be like a turtle, but your face would be like the turtle, like you would have a turtle face, but it'd be Enigma turtle face.
That'd be a good way not to sell a console.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would
Wouldn't
buy it. I
recommend
would
it.
buy it. I mean, because I support you, you're my bro. But yeah, no.
I wouldn't buy it. I don't want to look at myself. Um, one thing they kind of it is surprisingly was kind of offhand, but they mentioned that it's going to have the power of 4 consoles, which I assume means that it's going to be fully backwards compatible with original Xbox 360 and Xbox One. So I think that's huge because like that was a huge kind of kick to the teeth with the Xbox One, and it took a couple years until Spencer came in to actually get some backwards compatibility. And I know that a lot of us have fully invested in like huge digital libraries too. So, I mean, the potential of getting that new console and already having hundreds of games at your disposal that you already own and I mean, that's a big thing, and, like, it just goes to show how much was going on with this console that was kinda like an offhand comment.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree with you. It's definitely good to see that. And it seems like they really learned their lesson from the Xbox One launch, which, like you mentioned previously, did not go over well. So it looks like they've definitely identified where they had screwed up, and they're honest with themselves that they needed to improve in that, and they're taking steps in the right direction to do that with Project Scarlet. So I think everything is heading in the right direction, and I actually think the later release date in 2020 rather than 2019 is actually a good sign because it shows that they're taking their time to really develop it. They even talked about how they worked with AMD to come up with a console specific and unique processor that's gonna, like you mentioned, bring all that power to the hardware. So it seems like they're just taking their time to do this right, and I think that's a really, really good approach for them.
Yeah, I can't wait. I think that, yeah, I don't know how you could have asked for more with it, let me put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. Our buddy David in the chat, he came up with a hashtag for us, hashtag Xbox Turtle for Life. So be on the lookout for that. We'll
Let's
definitely
get it
take credit.
trending.
Yeah, worldwide trending, international trending, and we'll take credit for it. And yeah, just remember you heard it here first. So thanks for the hashtag, David. No shout out to you, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, is there any other notes of things that we kind of skipped over, we forgot along the way, as we kind of went through everything, talking about the Microsoft conference?
I mean, there's so much going on that I'm sure there was that DBZ like RPG game, which I think is
Yeah,
interesting. Because they've had the like Budokan stuff, which is kind of like that. It's not my thing, but I know a lot of people like it. Double Fine joining or being bought out by Microsoft or joining Microsoft is
yeah,
big.
that's true. Yeah, we forgot to talk about that, adding another kind of a bigger name publisher. I guess not maybe not big name, but just a really good quality publisher to the Microsoft Game Studios, which was a really good move.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2, which is interesting. Things are coming full circle because that was an original Xbox title.
Right.
Um, there's so much. There's probably more, but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think that's all I
again,
got.
yeah, like they said at the beginning of the conference, like they were going to show 60 games, so they definitely like were moving it through this stuff, and
Oh yeah,
we don't have time to like talk about every little thing, but yeah, I mean, you could just do like a quick search, for like the montage, and I'm sure you can find the video and the details and whatever. So there's definitely stuff there, but they definitely hit on the big hitters. But yeah, I mean, what's kind of your general closing reaction to the conference now that we kind of talked about everything? What's like your summary of it?
I came in with really high expectations, and I feel like those were met and some. We're going to have lots of quality games to play for at least the next 2 years. And I mean, they've set up the new console, I think, for a big showing, like a big strong release. I do think there's going to be another console coming out this holiday. The I can't remember if they officially announced it, like a discless or a streaming only console.
I thought
I
they, I mean, yeah, because I remember seeing a lot about that. I was trying to remember the same thing. Did they officially announce it, or was that just something that like got leaked, or was like theorized? I can't remember. So I honestly, I'd have to go check.
Yeah, we talked about it on a show a while ago, but there was like 4 different code names. But I fully expect come maybe like August that that'll get announced and come out in November. Because I mean, there's way too much that came out about multiple consoles for that to be, just Scarlett. And I couldn't blame him for trying to get one last revenue bump out of Xbox One while you can.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I just thought it was great though. I loved it. It was one of the best E3, single shows I can remember in a long time.
Yeah, I think it was really good. Like you, I had really high expectations as well. Like again, I wish they would have shown more gameplay, especially from like those big heavy hitters like Gears and Halo, so on and so forth. But I do kind of understand it to an extent because like again, they just packed so much stuff into this conference. Like they didn't really have time to do like an extended gameplay show or demo on stage or anything like that. They had to get through everything. So like I get it, but that would have been nice. But overall, like I thought it was really strong showing from Microsoft. A lot of new IPs, a lot of really interesting stuff that they're doing with Game Pass and the Project X Cloud, and then of course they talked about the new console. So yeah, I mean I think it sets them up nicely for the future, and there's a lot to look forward to as an Xbox and Microsoft fan, especially with all the stuff that they're doing between console and PC, a lot of the crossplay type stuff, even using like Game Pass between the two, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I think overall was a really good showing. So but yeah, any last parting comments before we wrap this up and get ready for the Bethesda conference?
Hashtag Xbox Turtle for life.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well, hey, thanks for joining us. Be sure to stay tuned. We're going to be doing this for the other upcoming major conferences. Like I just mentioned, we have Bethesda coming up. We're going to do the same kind of format where we're going to actually stream the conference for you here on the channel without any of us giving commentary, kind of interjecting our opinions as the conference is going. We'll be live tweeting it on our Twitter account at AlphaBillPod. So be sure to go follow us over there if you're not already. And then we'll do the same thing where we'll jump on here. We'll do like a little quick live reaction, kind of break down the different notes that we took throughout the conference, and do that. So yeah, anything else you want to add? Maybe give us a shout out to our Patreon page, John. While you're here, you got the information on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you do want to support us in our ventures like this, the Alpha Build podcast, all our streams and YouTube videos, please check us out at patreon.com/Black Arrow. You can invest for as little as $1, and multiple tiers will give you benefits like extra tidbits we don't release anywhere else. A full extra podcast, Discord server access, and different roles too. But definitely check it out. Any support helps us just cover costs and improve production values and everything. And then you can always check out all of our content on our website, blackarrowstudios.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, thanks for doing that. And again, stay tuned. We'll be talking with you guys here in a little bit. Be sure to talk to us on Twitter as well. And thanks for joining us. Peace.
See ya.